Hey gardening friends, Bobby here from Gardening on Taylor Mountain. I thought I would jump on here real quickly and give you a tour of the perennials and shrubs in my side yard, or on the side of my house actually. I am in Zone 6B in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, so that will give you a point of reference. I don't do a whole lot of tours. I'm starting to do better this season with tours. So let's get started. I don't do a whole lot of containers any longer as well. Let me back up. I do a lot of containers, but all of my containers these days are full of cut flowers that I have grown from seed. But I do like to stick some containers just for fun, and in fact I actually cut on these as well. So that is a salvia, the light green in the front, and then the other two are sun or shade coleus. And I just put together this little sun and shade coleus and lantana, fountain grass. I picked up a couple little plants from the local nursery, so I'm still planting things out, but this is, I'm thinking autumn with these containers. And then I do a lot of evergreens in containers. These containers in my Zone 6B stay out year round, and I don't give them any kind of winter protection, and they all do very well. And I have some Heuchera here in some containers, some coral bells you may call them, and then I have Sedum here. I see that one Sedum I should have done a Chelsea chop. You see how it's flopping a bit? I should have chopped that in half because that will keep that from happening. And then I have all of my Hellebores back here that I've showed you several times in different videos. There is a tiny Tuff stuff hydrangea. It's a mountain hydrangea, or Hydrangea serrata. When it was in full bloom, it was absolutely gorgeous. It looked like electric colors. So I'll put a picture on the screen for you to see that. And then some more Heuchera in there, more coral bells. I'll step back just a little bit so that you can see this Kusa dogwood. And as I said, I'm only going to show you my side garden right now because I tend to ramble on and it would cause the video to get too long. That's a Kusa dogwood, and that's pink. The Kusas get the leaves first, and then the blooms, and then they get the berries in the pot, the little pod things on them. You're seeing some gold Sturm Rudbeckia that actually just seeded itself around the Kusa dogwood, and you can see the big drift of gold Sturm Rudbeckia. It can be a bit of a garden thug if you let it, meaning it spreads from seed and by mounding. So I go in there and just thin it. As one of my gardening friends said, I go in there and edit out some of it because it just gets too thick. And you can see this cone flower in here just gets totally overtaken by the gold Sturm Rudbeckia. So if I don't go in and edit some of that Rudbeckia from around it, it will get the powdery mildew. Behind that is a Snowball Viburnum, and we had to cut that Snowball Viburnum. It was about 8 feet tall at one time. Gorgeous. One of my favorite early spring flowering shrubs, but because of the satellite dish we had to go in and cut it completely down. It was so sad. We have since then cut the cable on the satellite dish and gotten rid of that, yay. And there was a root left of that Snowball Viburnum, so I am so thankful and so happy. It threw off a few blooms early this spring, so yay, glad to have that back. And then I just stuck a few pentas in here. They need to be deadheaded very badly. Those are annuals. This is a little quick fire hydrangea. This is a panicle hydrangea from Proven Winners. It gets the white blooms, starts off with white blooms, and you can see then it starts turning its more fall type colors, the pinks. Really, really hardy hydrangea and very easy to grow in your garden. And then this area has gotten a little shaggy. That is a mahogany splendor hibiscus right there that I grew from seed that I use for my cut flower arrangements. And then I just sowed some cosmos seed. All of the spiky looking things are the drumstick allium. And I'm still leaving those because the foliage is dying back and the bees and the butterflies do enjoy them. Then I stuck some just annual salvia in there. I'm kind of just gone wild over salvia this year. But this whole area needs a little bit of reworking. I don't like what's going on. So I'm going to rework that, I think, and pull out all the mulch, pull out all of my drip tubing. I no longer need the drip tubing. I installed that several years ago when all of these shrubs and things were new and young, and I tell you, there was a lot of prayer going up I didn't know what I was doing, trying to figure out how to install that drip tubing. But now I really want to just maybe take it out and take all the mulch out, put some good compost, and sort of rework this area. There's some more coneflower there. So you can see everything is just, not placed well. I had some other alliums in here, and there's, spring flowering bulbs and things like that. And in fact, I want to go back to this gold Sturm Rudbeckia for a second. Underplanted under there is all of my early spring flowering bulbs. So when the foliage starts to die back and gets, ugly looking on those spring flowering bulbs, then the Rudbeckia has already started to grow up. So it's a real win-win there, having those two grouped together. Just that Rudbeckia covers up all of that old dead foliage while it's still, beating the bulb. All right, back to here. That is a sweet romance lavender. I enjoy that very much. I don't do anything to it. I don't really fertilize it. I don't water it. It just sort of does its thing. This is a Stand By Me Clematis that I planted in here this year. They do need support. You can see the ring. There's another one back there that's not really getting the airflow that it needs. And then I had some lilies in here that are all done, but this definitely needs some reworking. And as I said, I've just gone kind of wild with the salvia this year. I just cut all of these salvia back, but I'm just loving them for the pollinators. And this is a Bobo hydrangea from Proven Winners. They actually have gotten a little bit larger than I was expecting. This is, I think, their 4th year here, and maybe a little bit larger than I wanted them to get, but they are really pretty. That's a panicle hydrangea. And then you can see this is an amber Jubilee Ninebark. Totally wrong placement. The Ninebarks want to be in a place where you don't have to prune them, where you don't have to do anything to them. Leave them alone. And I'm zooming in, I think. Maybe not. I'm zooming in on there's a bunch of hummingbird moths in there. Anyway, back to the Ninebark. Year before last, I said this thing is out of control, so I cut it in half, knowing you really aren't supposed to do that to the Ninebarks. And all last year, it stayed totally mad at me. It was, poor thing, it was so pitiful looking. So this year it has decided, I'll show her. I'm going to grow twice as big as I was. So hopefully early next spring, my husband and I can take this one out, move it to a place where it can shine. I do use it. I use some of the foliage for foliage and cut flower arrangements, and it is absolutely gorgeous in the spring and in the fall. So I don't want to lose it, but it's totally the wrong placement there. The purple you're seeing is the Verbena bonariensis. I planted this last year and it just came back. It seeded itself here as a perennial. Then I have some more lavender here and some more mahogany splendor hibiscus that I use for my cut flower arrangements. This Echinacea here I'm in love with. It's been in there for several years, but it starts out with the green blooms, and then they turn the white. And I do use those in my cut flower arrangements from time to time, but I love them. I have 2 of those. This has gotten quite woolly here, so you can see that the placement, let me step back just a little bit without falling down. You can see the placement of that Ninebark is totally wrong. I'm really bad at that. I'm really awful at placing things. This is another Bobo Hydrangea. So I think maybe what I'll put in the middle, maybe, is a smooth hydrangea. You know, Hydrangea arborescens, maybe like an Invincible Spirit 2 or one of those. Oh, I don't know. This is Coreopsis here that just blooms its little head off. Blooms and blooms and blooms. It's a great perennial. Can't go wrong with it. And then more salvia in here. Another Echinacea there. And then more Cosmo. I just sowed Cosmo seeds everywhere. That's a Cat's Pajamas Nepeta, which I think is getting too much water. And I just sheared it back. Doesn't look too happy, does it? They don't like too much water. The Cat's Pajamas, they don't like too much water at all. And the yellow and orange you're seeing is the Bright Lights Cosmos that self-seeded itself. I had a container full of it right there last year, and it just threw off seeds, so I was happy. And then my Gladiolus corms, I did not dig a bunch of them. I left a bunch of them. In my Zone 6B, I really should dig them. And in fact, I just found one. I guess I threw a corm in my compost pile the other day, and there's one, there's a glad in the woods, in the compost pile, blooming. There's a gladiolus. Like, really? You go. So the hummingbirds have been loving this, so I have not had the heart to cut that. I was going to cut it down and use it in an arrangement, but I don't have the heart to take it away from the hummingbirds. This little shrub you're seeing under here is a dwarf Nandina, and that's going to have the red berries on it. I did have quite a few of Nigella in here, and it's all dried now. I'm not sure if the camera's focusing. Yeah, it's down there. See the Nigella pods, the dead looking pods? That's all Nigella, and I'll just scatter the seeds there and it'll come back next year. Nigella, love it so much. This is a daylily from Proven Winners called Storm Shelter, and it's been blooming for over a month now, constantly. It's got quite a few blooms left. Of course, the daylily blooms only last for one day, hence the name daylily. So I think we'll stop here because it looks like this video is getting pretty long, but that's a view of the shrubs and perennials on the side of my house. It's just gotten to the point, like I said a few moments ago, that some things need to be redone in here. In years past, it's looked much better than this. I think I missed something. The Stokes Aster. Where is it? There's one, and it's done blooming now, but the Stokes Aster is a bit of a garden thug. I love it, I like it, but I don't love it. I like it. But if you want to take it out and move it somewhere, well, not that easy because it just wants to keep coming back and coming back. So anyway, but the pollinators do love it. I need to deadhead that so that some more blooms can come on. But maybe I can take you along if I rework some of these areas in this garden. You know, what do you think? I'm going to zoom in a bit on this Sweet Romance Lavender as we say goodbye. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, my friends. We'll see you next time.